Alright, what we're gonna do today is work on this Nintendo 64 controller. It's got a really loose stick and it's just kind of filthy. Yeah, I plugged it in and it does work, but yeah, just a really loose stick and it's kind of gross, so we'll take it apart, try to rebuild the stick, and just clean it up a bit. Anytime you get a Nintendo 64 controller, the first thing you should do is take it apart and clean it, because they are disgusting and there gets to be like tons of gunk in between the cracks of the plastic, and yeah, even if it looks clean, it's most likely not. And I'll try to show that to you guys. And this stick is pretty loose, so we're gonna take it apart and try to rebuild it. I'm probably going to cheat a little bit because I have a couple other sticks that I'm going to use, and I'm just going to try to make one good one out of a couple loose sticks. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, let's take this thing apart. Yeah, this thing's all sticky and nasty, so it needs clean through that anyway, so let's try to get it all cleaned up and try to get the stick tightened up a little bit. See, look at that. I don't know if I can show that to you, but like, look at how dirty that screw is. These things get filthy. You don't ever want to frickin' just buy a used Nintendo 64 controller and just use it without cleaning it, because they are pretty gross. Alright, go ahead and pull this thing apart. Looks pretty good. None of the posts seem broken. See, yeah, look how gross that in between the cracks of plastic are. That's disgusting. And you don't want your hands sweating and that stuff ending up on your hands without even realizing it. That's why you gotta clean them. Alright, before we clean this, we'll start on the stick, because that's probably the most important part of this, is getting the stick to work properly. And just undo these 3 screws to take off the stick, which is pretty self-explanatory. And take the Z button board off and unplug, hopefully without ripping everything apart. And there's our stick. And yeah, that's pretty loose. So let's put this aside. Oh, there is a broken post. No. Oh, well, that sucks. I should be able to glue it back together. Yeah, it's pretty common. That post likes to break on these controllers. Alright, so here's our stick. This is the stick from this controller. And these are the other sticks that I have. So the one from the controller is pretty bad. This one's kind of bad. Or this one's pretty bad. This one's pretty bad. This one's kind of bad. And this one is kind of okay. It's pretty tight. If I wanted to, I could just swap this one in. But I think we're going to try to make the best stick we can out of... Well, let's try to use these 3, because this one's alright. But if we need to, we'll take this one apart too and see what... Let's just, yeah, see what we can do with these 3, since they're all pretty bad. Sometimes you can get enough good parts out of a couple joysticks to make one good one, but what you can also do is get one of these GameCube style which they're pretty good if you get the more expensive ones. This is a cheap one. If you're gonna go GameCube style, I recommend getting the more expensive one, like the 8-bit dough or the Hyperkin. The 8-bit dough is definitely the best one in this version. The cheap ones, like this one, this was like a $10 one, are just way too sensitive for a lot of games. Like, you just barely move it and it like thinks the stick is all the way out when it's just like, yeah, it's way too sensitive to play some games. But the 8-bit dough stick, yeah, that thing's pretty good for one of the joystick style, for N64 style, or I mean GameCube style joysticks for the N64. Alright, we're just gonna take all three of these apart. So, yeah, look at all that dust coming out already. Oh yeah, look at all that junk in there. That's just the joystick, and there's a bowl in there and the joystick being ground away. That's pretty disgusting. Because how these sticks work is the bottom of this joystick right here grinds into the bowl, and it just gets ground away over time. It gets worse and worse over time. So there's that one. Let's just take all three apart. To take these apart, you just take this screw off. I'm sure everyone watching this already knows how to take them apart, but I'll just show you just in case. Take this screw off, and then it will have some spring tension and be held on by these two clips. So you just take that screw off, push it, hold it back together, undo one clip, let some tension off, and undo the other clip, and it should just, then it will pop right apart, and then you can just take it off. When you take it off, you want to be careful and remember how this black gear thing what orientation it is. So this gear part is on the flat part, because you have to put it back together the same way. And so there's that one. Let's get this last one and see if we can make one good stick. They can be kind of tricky to do. I think this middle one looks the best probably, but let's get all these pieces cleaned up and yeah, see what we can do. Oh, I should probably zoom you back out. See, we should be able to stick right there. To get this gear off, you just press down on this spring. Press down on the spring and turn this part, and it will come right off. Alright. Just take all these apart and clean them and pick all the pieces that are in the best condition. which is probably just going to be the stick that was the tightest in the first place, but sometimes not. Yeah, this one has so much dust. Yeah, this one's pretty wallowed out. That one looks pretty good. Yeah, I think this middle one is probably the best one. Yeah, we'll probably go with that middle one. Here, I'll show you what I'm looking for. Try to zoom you in without getting too close. So with this guy, here I'll just show you this guy compared to this guy, if I can. Oh, it's hard to film this stuff, man. Alright, can we get a little closer? Alright, so I don't know if you can see it. You should be able to see it. See how this one is a little more oblong that way than this one? So that means this one is more worn out up and down this way compared to this one. So we'll want to choose this one because it's less worn out. So we'll take this one and put it aside. We'll use this one. And we won't use this one. This was the one from our gray controller, the controller we're working on. And this one is from one of the better sticks. So we'll choose this one. And then we'll move on to the next piece, this piece right here. And see which one's the best with this. Zoom out. Okay, so this will be our keep pile right up here. Right, make sure I picked the right one. Oh, I did not. See, that's our keep right there. And these are our quote-unquote junkies. And then let's pick the best one of these, which is probably going to be from the same stick. Oh man, this one's a little harder to tell. No, nope. That top one's more worn out than this one. Here, I'll see if I can show you on these. Can you show me, or can you tell me which one is the better one? Hard to get all these in a good frame. So yeah, this one is probably our best condition one. This one's a little more wallowed out. That one's a little wallowed out. So yeah, we'll go ahead and choose this guy. Go up in our keep pile. We put them up here. Take these other two, put them down here, and probably the next most important part is probably the bowl, which is this right here. Take off our circuit board. Take off our circuit board. Oh, this one's like stuck. Now that guy's not wanting to come out of there. This guy's coming right out. Alright, we'll pick the best circuit board when it comes to it also. Alright, for these we probably need to clean them. I kind of want to try to avoid some of this dust on my mat, so grab a paper towel, just tear some of that off. And yummy! Plastic dust. Yummy! Yeah, not so much yummy. That is gross. Alright. So there is our bowls. We will go ahead and clean these up so we can pick the best one. This is just IPA, isopropyl alcohol. Basically what you use to clean almost any electronics. Cleaning these bowls is a big part of what makes your stick feel better from cleaning it and greasing it. Alright, which one is going to be the best? Oh man, probably this guy, or this guy right here is probably the best one. See if I can show you. Show you the difference if I can. It's kind of hard to show this. Alright. Can you see the difference in the wear amount on the bowl? This guy's probably the least worn. It's kind of hard to show that actually. That is not cooperating, is it? There we go. You can kind of see how worn the bottom of the bowl is on this one. And then how much better this one looks. Probably what we're doing is just cleaning and reassembling the one stick that was the best, but yeah, see how much shinier and not as worn that bowl is compared to this one. This bowl probably has seen a lot of Mario Party, I'm sure. And this one is, it's alright. It's like in between those two. Alright, so we'll go ahead and pick this guy and put it in our pile. Turn the flashlight off. Go ahead and put these guys in our jump pile. And we'll go ahead and move on to joystick next. This joystick is disgusting. So with this, we're probably going to want to pick the one that's the longest, has the longest nub still on there. See if I can show you. Ooh, the dirty one actually probably has the best nub still. Alright, for the nub, what I'm talking about is the little piece of plastic on the end. So, see how this guy still has a little bit of plastic on the end right there? And this guy has almost no little nub. This nub is what rubs on the bottom of the bowl to and if it's worn away too much, either the bowl is worn away too much or the nub, the joystick nub is worn away too much, that will give you a really loose feeling stick because it will start to sink more into the joystick housing. So yeah, I think that dirty one is probably our best bet. Let's see here. This one has no numbers out, so I'm going to put it in the file. And these closer. They're pretty close, but yeah, this dirty one is the best one, so we are going to use that one. With these springs and washers, they should all be pretty close to the same. We'll pick the nicest looking ones, which is probably these ones. Make sure they're all the same height. And then we'll try to pick the best looking of these right here. Go ahead and clean them up a little bit just so we can see better. I don't think that these get too worn very often, but pretty sure they can. But we'll try to just pick the nicest looking one, which is probably this middle one. Let me look at them close. Yep, that one's this one is our chosen one. And last thing, we'll try to pick the nicest circuit board, which is probably this guy right here. So, yep. All right, so I'll pick this circuit board, and now we have all of our pieces, so we can start cleaning and reassembling our joystick. Let me go ahead and get a bag to put all these other parts in for now. I will reassemble these joysticks, but these other ones, but I'm not going to do it right now, so we're just going to put these in here for the time being. Oh. These two, but I don't think it matters which one of these we pick. We'll pick that one. Alright, now we will clean all of these with, guess what? Isopropyl alcohol. This is a really good time to clean all the parts. There's freaking no point of taking all of your joystick completely apart and rebuilding it if you're not going to clean and grease it too, because that is a big part of it. Get a fresh Q-tip for our bowl and really make sure we get it clean. Oh, I forgot a couple things. Don't want to lose parts. You want to be careful with those wheels. You don't want to break them. Yeah, I think this bowl is in fairly decent condition, so that's... Alright, to be honest, these are the three most important parts to clean and grease. You want to make sure they are very clean. We'll start with dirty joystick. This thing was pretty gross. Here we can probably zoom in a little bit for this. Man, we should have kept track of our parts, because we probably are just reassembling the tightest stick. Probably all those parts came from the same stick, but it would have been interesting to know if they did or not. Might have got one or two parts from one of the other sticks, but yeah, we should have kept track, like labeled them all out, like as an experiment or something. That would have been kind of fun. I'm sure if someone wanted to pay attention enough, they could pay attention to what each stick or what each piece came from which stick from the video, but I didn't have time to do all that right now. So man, the stick sure cleaned up pretty dang good. Go ahead and steal some cotton. This stuff's a lot dirtier than you really think it is, and then you start to clean it and realize how long it takes to actually clean all these pieces, and it really helps when you do. Even just cleaning them and no greasing would help, but cleaning combined with greasing all these parts, whew, big difference. Yeah, this guy's in good condition, this little track, whatever you call it. Alright, well, my memory card got full, but we were just right here cleaning these joystick track things. I'm not quite sure exactly how long it stopped recording for, but hopefully I caught it pretty quickly. And we just getting these parts all cleaned up still. We got one of our tracks clean. We got our joystick clean. We got, I think this is our last piece we need to clean right here, this little track, top track. What you'll want to do is clean make sure you get in between right in there, that little tiny gap, because that's where this thing pivots and rides on the joystick cup bowl. Right there where it's still white. I still need to clean that right there, this little spot. And you also want to put some grease there when we get to greasing this thing. So yeah, don't forget that. Alright, we got all of our pieces all cleaned up, so now we can get to reassembly and greasing. And the type of grease that I use is, it's O-ring grease. It's just silicone waterproof grease, the like clearish grease. I'm pretty sure it's made for like O-rings and stuff, but it's good on plastic and rubber and things like that. You want a grease that is good on plastic. So silicone, some people say white lithium, but I think white lithium grease dries out after a while, and this silicone waterproof plastic rubber grease doesn't really dry out. So I think it's a better way to go. So we'll go ahead and start reassembling this guy. Let me make sure my circuit board is clean. Alright, that looks pretty clean. Alright, we got that guy in there. Got... Oh, do we need to put this on first? Oh, I still have a little bit of plastic inside some of these gears that I'm going to get. Alright. Put that guy on first. The bowl just sets in there. And then set your circuit board on top of that. And we'll leave this assembly for now. And we will get this part assembled. Just set it in there, twist, and it will fall all the way through. And then set your spring on top. And I believe this guy is the one that goes on top of here, and the gear goes towards the flat top. Now what we should be doing is twisting our joystick. And you'll want this joystick guide gear thing right in the middle, because it can the joystick can slide up or down. You want that right in the middle. And that should be good to close. And let's grease up a couple of these points on the bowl. What I like to do is just break a Q-tip off, and put a little bit of grease on the Q-tip broken part, and I put some right here where the gears rest, the gear guides I should say. Put some grease right where the gear guides rest on all four parts. You don't want to put tons, but you want to put more than a film. And then I use the Q-tip, put some grease on it, And then I grease the bowl on the inside a little bit. Just put a bit of grease so the whole bowl is greased on the inside, because that's where the joystick rides, so you really want grease on that part. And then you can stick your guide in there. And then I put some grease on the guide itself, on the inside of it, and the top. And then do the same thing for this guy. And I even put a little bit of grease on the ball of the joystick. Just anywhere there's plastic on plastic friction points. And you don't want to put crazy tons amount, but you know, put quite a bit. Not like fill the whole thing up with grease, but just anywhere there's plastic on plastic to keep the plastic from wearing away. And then you should be able to just snap it back together and just kind of work it. And we're probably just about as good as our tightest joystick was, but maybe slightly better. It's not the best stick. It's probably like a medium to medium tight, but definitely not a tight stick, but it's usable. And that's what matters. And it feels a lot better now that we cleaned and greased it. So that's good too. And then now we can put our screw back together. Ooh. Put our screw back together. And then we can continue with the rest of the controller. Alright. Feels alright. Not too bad. Way more usable than the stick that was in this controller, so that's good. Alright, so we got our stick back together. Now we will move on to the rest of the controller. So what I like to do is I just take all the buttons apart and pull the motherboard out. It looks pretty good condition, so that's good. And see, I don't know if you can see this, but there is quite a bit of junk on the bottom side of this rubber button pad. See, there's like a bunch of dirt and dust. You definitely want to clean that stuff, because any dust that gets on these black pieces will, you know, it can stop button presses. So you definitely want to clean all that type of stuff. So that's what we're gonna do. And just carefully take these rubber pieces off. They can rip if they're old. Some of them get kind of old and stale, and they can rip pretty easily, so be careful with those. Oh yeah, there's tons of dirt on that side, so yeah, want to take these off so we can clean them. That side's pretty bad too. And so we're just going to take all the buttons off and clean this half, clean the shell, I guess, each half of the shell. So we'll go ahead and clean this guy. Might have to go grab another paper towel. And I just use isopropyl alcohol. Just clean the whole shell. Can even go like this and use some tweezers and get in there. You could use a toothpick if you don't have tweezers. You want to get inside of here, which the best way to do that is to use a Q-tip and just see, look at that. See, look at all that crap in there. Just use a Q-tip soaked in isopropyl alcohol, and you can see how nasty that stuff is. Someone's definitely spilled a soda or something on this controller before, which is very common with old controllers, people spilling soda on them. Look how nasty that is. You don't want that stuff getting on your hands while you're playing. Very nasty. And so this is probably the most important part right here, is to clean this part. See, look how nasty that is. See, look at that. That's so nasty. You don't want that stuff coming off on your hands as you're playing from who knows how many strangers that's 30 years old. Just think of that 30-year-old stranger gunk. Gross. Yeah, I don't want that on my hands. Which it is on my hands right now from cleaning it, but we'll go ahead and wash our hands after this. It's good to take a Q-tip and just helps you go along the edge. Alright, another important part to clean besides the very edge of the controller is right here where the buttons go, because if there's any junk in there, it can give you sticky buttons and give you problems with button presses. So you want to clean inside where the buttons go, and then when we put our buttons back together, you want to clean the outside of them. So yeah, do that. I've had controllers where I couldn't understand why my buttons were sticking at all, And I took the controller apart about 3 times trying to figure it out, and I just had a little bit of gunk where I couldn't see on the inside of the button well, so can definitely be a problem. Yeah, look, this was pretty much only for the buttons, and it's still gross. Almost got this half. To get into there, I think I'm going to try the old toothbrush. Alright, I think we'll call that good for this half. Now we'll move on to this half, which is just about equally as disgusting. Yeah, this guy's gross too, so just trying to show you how nasty controllers can be. Really can be gross. Look how gross that is just from the screw holes. So yeah, don't forget those, because they are pretty gross. Alright, our shell is clean. Now we should clean our button pads really quick, because they are pretty gross. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, look how gross. Even these ones are too. It's harder to tell because they're more dirt colored, but yeah, we'll go ahead and clean these guys. You gotta be careful with these guys, because these raised parts right here rip off really easily if you apply too much pressure. So just do these really carefully. Don't be ham-handed with them, just be very gentle. I've ripped Super Nintendo ones before. I think the Super Nintendo ones are even more fragile than the N64 ones, but they're pretty fragile things. What I always do is I just these are like carbon pads or something like that. I just give them a little wipe. I think the isopropyl alcohol like rubs some of the carbon off, but I just try to make sure there's no junk on them, on the surface of them. So I just do that real quick, and you can see some carbon or whatever came off, but should be okay. We're not taking too much off, so. Alright, that guy's clean. We'll do the same thing here. Alright. And the start button guy is usually not as dirty, but we'll give him a quick wipe down. One more thing to clean, and that is the buttons. These ones aren't very dirty, but sometimes they can have like soda on them, like sticky stuff or who knows what, but it's a good idea to just wipe these guys down real quick too. Look how gross that screw is. Let's see if we can clean it a little bit. Yeah, look at that. So that was just sweat and dust and 30-year-old stranger goop. So gotta be careful with that stuff. Reassembly time. So we'll go ahead and zoom you back out, and we will do a little bit of reassembly. Just one more thing before we reassemble is on the button PCB itself, just take a Q-tip, isopropyl, and just make sure you clean where the buttons go. A little bit of dirt in there, but It didn't look too bad. So you just want that to be clean. And then usually I start with the buttons, and it's pretty nifty because each button is keyed, so it can only go in one spot. And these go facing down because these black parts have to touch the PCB, and make sure that these are pressed in there all the way. Alright, now we can put our PCB back in there, and with the cord, the cord wraps around the cartridge memory pack slot right there, wraps around the memory pack slot and goes in between those two posts and wraps around that third post to poke out. Here, I'll do a little zoom in for you so you can see if you're having trouble putting yours back together. I'll do it one more time. Alright, so this is your memory pack slot. It will wrap around there, through there, down, and out. So you go around the memory pack slot, around the memory pack slot, through the two posts, and then back down around the third post, and pokes out of where the controller cord goes. So just like that. Hopefully you can see that. And then the L and R buttons, they have little slots that they sit into. See where they go? It's like a little C and then a little C on the other side. And they just go in the C with the rubber part too. Then we will do the other side. So there's two holes, and those correspond to those two little pegs, rubber pegs, and they just slide in, and then go into the two little square areas. Alright, I guess we'll do our joystick next. We'll zoom out a little bit for that. Joystick just sits in there, face down, right where it's supposed to go. Then you can either plug it in before or after you screw it down. I usually just plug it in first, and then put your screws in there and screw it down. You want to make sure the joystick screws are pretty firm. You don't want to over tighten them, but you want them nice and firm. If they're loose, your joystick will be loose. So alright, once you got that guy in, you take the Z button and just pop them right in the two little clips where they hold on to. Alright, and the next thing is the L and R buttons. They have little holes where the pegs fit into, and they'll just sit in their spots just like that. And then you can put the bottom shell on. What I like to do is pay attention to the memory card slot, because that goes through there, and so I just try to pay attention to that and line it up that way. And then once it's together, I just turn it over and test each button. So if a button doesn't work, I can fix it before I screw the controller back together. So every button seems to be working. The Z button's working. So we'll go ahead and put in some screws. And I forgot about this middle post. We should actually probably go ahead and glue that. You know what, I'm just going to put in some screws and I'll glue that later here in a minute. We'll just put a few screws in for now so we can test it. Alright, we just got those 4 screws in just so we can test it real quick. And we're going to go take it. It looks way better. We're going to go take it to the N64 real quick and we'll test it. I'm sure everything will work, but I just want to test it, and then we'll come back and try to screw that post back in, because that post is going to have to dry. The glue's going to have to dry, so I just want to test it first before I try to glue that, so I'm going to do that. Alright, we're going to go ahead and try to glue up the post real quick. See how that works. Hopefully I have enough crazy glue that's not too dried up for it to work. So we'll go ahead and try that real quick and see if we can get the post to stick. Alright, I think that's the right direction. Let's go ahead and see if we have enough glue. Oh yeah, we should be good. Geez, that actually stuck pretty good. Alright, so we'll go ahead and let that dry before we try to put it back together, and I'll get back to you once it's dry, I guess. Alright, what I did is I just put a couple of screws back in to kind of clamp it together while it was drying, so it would give it a little more force, pinching force. And put a rubber band right there and a little piece of wire just to kind of hold it. And yeah, we'll finish putting in the screws. I don't think there's any need to take it back apart to see, as long as it's holding. Alright, put the last screw in. Hopefully it doesn't break free putting the screw in. It should be okay though. That's screwed in there. So that's good. Got all the screws in except for these two little ones. These two little screws are a complete pain in the ass to put in if you don't have a magnetic screwdriver. So yeah. You can use tweezers to put them in, but even doing that is a pain. Alright, feels nice and solid. All the buttons work. I think that looks way better than when we first started, don't you? If I can, I'll try to put up a comparison of before and after. Definitely looks way better and feels way better, so that is awesome. Sweet. I guess we'll go ahead and show you it working just a little bit. And yeah, thanks for watching. Heck yeah. That seems to be working pretty good. Fully playable. Heck yeah. Works great. Way better than before I cleaned it and took it apart, so. Well, heck yeah. Thanks for watching, guys.